Hello my dudes and welcome to a brand new Cities Skylines 2 playthrough. My name is Sjin and welcome to the channel if you're new, welcome to Cities Skylines if you're not. So I've played Cities Skylines 1 quite a fair bit with lots of mods, and what is Cities Skylines? Well, I always come at it with the idea that maybe you don't actually know what this game is. I mean, maybe you do and you're here for that. I mean, you search for it on YouTube, right? But maybe you don't and you're here for me. Anyway, Cities Skylines is about building cities, and I mean big cities. Now if you played Cities Skylines 1, there's a few changes between that and this, and that's what we're probably going to go into first as we jump in. But anyway, chief among those is probably the way they handle mods in Cities Skylines 2. So basically in Cities Skylines 1, you could use the Steam Workshop, and it was great. If you're building a Japanese city and you wanted a giant Gundam right in the middle, boom, Bob's your uncle. Put Godzilla in there as well. If you want, Mechagodzilla is probably even a thing as well. The mods were crazy and it was amazing. But Cities Skylines 2 does things a bit different. They're going to try and use their own in-house modding system, like the Paradox Mods website. But if you go there right now, you can see there are no mods yet for Cities Skylines 2, or at least they haven't enabled the ability to put them in. And you know what? That is actually fine, because first up, before we do anything on Cities Skylines 2, we want to kind of relearn the game, go through the paces, so we can come back and build our next city with some crazy mods. So we're going to start a fresh city and pick ourselves a new map. So there's a lot of options here, a lot. Well, like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 options. That's great. I count that right now. 8, 5, 10, yeah, 14 options. And each one of these is different. I mean, you've got basically San Francisco, okay. Complete with the Golden Gate Bridge, but we're going to pick something a bit more basic, a bit more generic. So each one of these maps has a whole bunch of different properties. We'll go to Coral Reaches right now. Wait, Coral Reaches? Coral Riches. And you can see its theme is North American. It's got a climate that's pretty average. It's Northern Hemisphere, lots of buildable area. And it shows you what kind of outside connections there are. Okay, this has got rail, boat, aeroplane. Well, I guess you can get an aeroplane in any of these, right? And it has electricity, but also it shows you where the natural resources are. So you've got lots of fertile land, loads of forest, lots of ore. Ooh, diamonds. Is that a Minecraft diamond? So there's lots of diamonds in Coral Riches. I guess that's why it's called Coral Riches. And there's a lot of oil. 48.1 kilotons is pretty good. And with all the flat area, I think Coral Riches makes a great place for us to start. Now we're going to switch it up. We're going to make this a European-themed city because, hey, I'm from Europe. Well, I mean, technically I'm from England, which unfortunately isn't part of the European Union. But geographically, I'm still European, and in my heart of hearts, I'm still Eurotrash. So we're going to go for a city name that is, I don't know, something crazy. No, we'll name it after one of my favorite movies, Sjin City. There we go, the city that never sleeps, the Big Apple, the city of love. We're going to keep natural disasters on because I want to see what they're about. We're going to keep left-hand traffic on because, hey, we drive on the left over here, pals. Anyway, let's jump in. For my first city, I didn't bother doing tutorials, and I got really lost because the way power works in this is a little bit different. But okay, right, so we've got a big old area to work with here. Actually, no, we don't. This is actually quite a small area. But the map itself, as you can see, is pretty huge. There's a lot of potential here. And one of the big things is there's been some massive changes to photo mode. Now there's a lot of different kind of things you can do with this to get some really cool shots of your city. Oh, hey, hang on a second. Looks like we're not the first people to move in here. This guy, I mean, who's building this house here? For one, his dock is way too far away from the water, and there's no way that's rising up at high tide. Also, where are the shops? Where's he going to go to buy his milk? What an absolute idiot. Also, he's on an island. How are you going to get there? How did he get here in the first place? Well, okay, I guess there's a good reason why this is an abandoned shack, because, oh my god, yeah. It's got a water wheel, though, but again, where's the water coming from? My dude, come on, what's your game plan here? And weirdly, bushes growing on stone, because, yeah, in Cities Skylines, plants don't need dirt. But you know what, boom, let's take a screenshot, because, yeah, why not? Oh man, an achievement as well. So anyway, that's photo mode, let's jump in. So the first thing we're going to need to do is put down some roads. The game works in the same way as the previous version. You have zones that you put down, and people will move into those zones with either residential as green, commercial, industrial. You've also got office zones and specialized industry. Oh, chickens. Are we going to be a chicken city? Maybe. Anyway, we're going to go down here to roads and build some cool roads for our city. Now, I like the idea of bringing this road all the way along the middle like that, Stop me if you think I'm crazy. Then we're going to drag the roads all the way down to the coast, have a road that maps all the way along the edge of the coastline, pretty cool, and then have the zones sprinkled along there. That sounds like a good place to start, and we can put industry the north side of this, because it's a good idea usually to separate industry from residential. So we want one of these medium roads, 4 lanes, coming all the way along the middle. Now in Cities Skylines 1, the big mistake you made with this game was building way too many roads at the start, because roads are really expensive. However, that's not really the case in Cities Skylines 2. I mean, look at this. This is $3,000, and we have in the bank 500k. So we're pretty okay to build as many roads as we want to get going. And that's good. It gives us lots and lots of options, so we don't find ourselves too constricted in the early game. Now, maybe I'm making some massive boo-boos. I've played a lot of Cities Skylines 1, but I'm admittedly not the best at it. But the thing about Cities Skylines is it is a learning experience, and you can be forgiven for thinking it's about building cities, because, plot twist, it's not. Cities Skylines is about building road systems and managing traffic. Traffic is the biggest problem you're ever going to have in any city you build. So let's drag this now across like this. Oh, it's getting messy now. There we go, that's what I'm talking about. And there we go, a nice little snaky road going along the coast. Man, reminds me of Goku trying to get those Dragon Balls along Snake Way. Now, as you can see, the game also really does still hate curvy roads. Look at this. The placement of these zones along this curvy Snake Way is terrible. But when we've gone straight, we've got loads more room to build buildings. So you kind of want to have like a mix and match. Building a grid city can be simple, but it's also a traffic nightmare. But we'll build some more roads coming down here, connecting to our coastal road. And there we go, looking pretty good. Now, before we put anything in, we can also add some roundabouts. So rather than designing your own special roundabout manually with roads, you can actually put them down automatically using this tool. And I don't know if this is a good idea, but we're going to go with it and see if it is. Because roundabouts are in general just way better for traffic. Not so good for foot traffic, but amazing for cars. And we'll also put a few roundabouts along these connecting spindles as well. There we go. And we'll see how this goes. It could be a terrible move, could be an amazing move, only time will tell. So now we want to kind of just have a road network that connects all of these smaller bits as well. You got to be careful though, you got to think of your roads like an arterial network. If there's a way that traffic can get from here down to here quicker than taking the big roads, it usually will, and that means if it goes through small roads to cut through a section, that can be pretty bad. So it's often a good idea to isolate these areas that aren't going to have too many buildings with these smaller roads. So here we go. So there we go, a nice little kind of road system setup. We have the big roads coming along here with big roads circling all the way around there along the coast. Then we have smaller roads connecting to little kind of cul-de-sacs and districts that don't connect through, so drivers won't be tempted to just zigzag through the smaller roads. It might work, it might not, only time will tell. So now we have the bottom residential district, and there's going to be a little bit of commercial here as well, because guys need shops to get their milk from. As we learned from this abandoned house. That's why he moved out, he couldn't get his milk. Don't worry, our dudes are going to have more milk than they will ever need. They're going to be drowning in milk. Literally. No, because chickens don't make milk. Or do they? No, I don't think they do. So from the roundabout, we'll bring a road north like this, and we're going to keep the industrial zone pretty kind of locked to this area over here in the top right. And that's going to work well for us because we have the city connections to power coming up here in the top right as well. Basically, you can hook up to this and you don't need to build your own power plant. It's a really cool way of doing it early on because you can take as much electricity as you need. It is expensive, but I think for the early game it's pretty manageable and pretty cool. It means you're kind of never really going to have a brownout because you can always pull as much as you need from the outside network. So there we go, looking pretty good. We've got a big old square, the industrial square. That's what we're going to call this. Sure, whatever. In fact, yeah, that reminds me, so you can actually get in pretty close and name names. For example, we've got the Victoria Highway here. And as a nice little thank you to Patreon and YouTube members, what I'm going to be doing is naming these roads after you. So if you want a road named after you, consider becoming a member of Patreon or YouTube, and maybe I will pick you as a street. In fact, I remember when I was growing up and people asked me, what do you want to be when you grow older? It wasn't a potato. No, I wanted to be a road. So lucky you guys have a chance to live my dream. And we're going to be calling the main highway the Great Gatty Autobahn. Because we're in Europe, right? Autobahn. Oh my god, it caps it. Well, there we go. The Great Gatty Autobahn that spans across the, oh my god, the whole thing. Wow, yeah, well that's the biggest road, so there you go, Gatty. But we've also got Pine Street here, which is going to be, yeah, we're going to call this Festa Street. Oh yeah, Festa Street. Does this go all the way along? Yeah, nice. Okay, Festa Street. Anyway, back to the skyline. So again, the same treatment that we did over here with the big roads and the smaller roads, we're going to do the same thing over here for the industrial area. But we're going to hold off on roundabouts over here. We're going to do smaller roads with just traffic light intersections to see how they perform versus the roundabouts down here. It could be good, it could be bad. Let's find out. So yeah, there's loads of different ways you can build roads as well. Take a look at the tools down here. You can have straight, simple curve, complex curve, continuous. There's lots of different options, lots of different ways to do this. Oh wow, look at this. Also, point A and B and then drag to create a perfect grid. Well, let's see what that looks like over here. Wait, what? Is this gonna work? There. Over to here. Oh my god, yeah, look at this, wow. So you can create a perfect grid if that's your jam. Now, we're not doing a grid city, not really. It's kind of a grid, but with extra steps. So for certain areas that aren't going to see a lot of traffic, like low density housing, a perfect grid might be an option. In fact, let's try building one right over here in the corner and make this our very low density housing zone, where we're just going to have like very big houses with low amounts of people, no apartment blocks at all whatsoever. That shouldn't be too bad on the traffic. So we'll bring another main road. Now we are going super road heavy before we've done any zoning, and this is usually a really big mistake because all kinds of problems can arise, and yeah, you never know what's going to happen. But there we go, that's the main road in position. Now we're going to go to smaller roads, set the grid section. And I guess, do we want like a big grid? Oh my god, yeah, look at this beast. We could have one of these. And bam, oh my god, this is incredibly beautiful. Look at this. Every single bit of land in here is buildable. The dream. So we'll hook this up now to a few roundabouts over here. Now we might get a bit messy with this and just go diagonally like that, just for the sake of neatness. Although no, having this go onto a traffic light is going to really jam up the roundabout. People will be waiting in this small little intersection for these traffic lights to turn green. That's not what we want. So, yeah, you know what? We're going to add some more roundabouts. This is going to kill some of the zoning in this area, but I think in the long term, it's a good move. Oh my god, what's this? Oh, we got a tiny village. Your efforts are bearing fruit and your city has taken its first steps towards success. What? We got 600k, wow, we got a level up point, and we got 3 more map tiles. Okay, so this is where we're going to look into progression. So basically the game is a bit different now. You kind of have like a level up tree. So yeah, check it out. You can basically pick like a talent tree. You've got roads, electricity, water, healthcare, garbage, and then it goes down. These are a bit locked behind other things, but education, fire and rescue, police, transportation, parks and rec. What do you reckon? Treat ourselves, 2024? Some parks and recreation talents? I'm not sure. And communications, post sorting facility, whoa, server farm? Telecoms? Wow, there's so much in this game that wasn't in number 1. And that's another big thing. Apparently all of the expansions that were in Cities Skylines 1 are coming to 2 as the base game. That's pretty cool. There's nothing worse than a game that introduces loads of expansions, then releases a sequel and doesn't put those expansions in the base game. Looking at you, Civilization. So roads are very important and we love roundabouts, so I'm going to put my first point in unlocking roundabouts, and what this does is it gives you bigger roundabouts. Oh yes, we can come back here and make this small roundabout a big one. Boom, look at this. Oh yeah, now it's not huge, but it is like, you know, a bit bigger. That's fine. And we'll add a few of these because they are pretty freaking awesome. Boom. But we'll do a 4-lane road that comes off here, connects here, and yeah, there you go. Beautiful. Oh man, is that not a mess? So do you know what? Maybe it is a mess, but it's our mess. It's our beautiful mess. Anyway, so we've got the grid. We've got the industrial zone. We've got an unspecified zone down here, and this kind of strand along the bottom. We haven't put down a single zone yet. We're nuts. So let's take a look. Now, the game gives you some advice about where you can be putting your residential zones. And according to the game, everywhere is good as far as housing goes. So we want low density housing up in the grid, because this is going to see a lot of traffic. We don't want things to go too crazy up here. In fact, I'm going to put a few more roads in before we do this. And let's start painting down some pretty basic residential zones. Now what's weird is we got a milestone without actually having any extra population. So what's stopping us from becoming a small village? Right, well, it's experience points. And you don't necessarily get XP from population. And this is another big change. In Cities Skylines 1, everything was locked behind your population. So if you wanted like a really small bespoke city, it kind of hampered you. So here we go. We're going to splash around just a couple of these residential zones. Now we're going to do like a kind of like a checker pattern, and we're going to also put commercial in between, because basically commercial needs customers and small commercial needs customers that are kind of nearby. But there we go. We have a nice pretty looking grid of green and blue. We're also going to need some industry, which we're going to paint over here, and there's only really one type of industry. Yeah. And we'll plonk that over here, like so. Now there's, again, different ways to paint down industry. You can paint whole blocks with the fill tool. You can mark here and select a zone like this. Or you can paint individual tiles if you want to get really, really, really anal about that. Like that. I mean, it seems like a bit of a waste of time, but there will be situations where you might want to do that. Now we're going to keep all the industry on the inside of these road systems for now. There's room to expand to the outside, but we kind of want to leave this space in case there's big buildings we want to put there, important services, like fire departments. Oh, now what's this blue stuff? Oh, groundwater. So we could dig up water from these big old wells. So we've got the zones in position, and we could press go. We could unpause it, and people will start to move in pretty quickly. Oh yeah, but they're going to have some big old problems. And let's pause it to find out what they are. So this guy, not enough electricity, backed up sewer, and no water. So that's the 3 big utilities that we're going to need to do. Now, like I said before, we're going to start by piping in power, if you can call it that, by wiring in power from our neighbors. Because you see this big old electrical line? Well, yeah, that leads out of the map to a massive nuclear reactor that is parked just outside of city limits that you can't quite see. And to get this power into our system, basically, yeah, you don't run cables around your city anymore. Power is kind of attached to roads. And you can see this big road network we have has these orange lines underneath it when we go to power modes. But also the electricity that comes in from outside is pretty high voltage. So we need a transformer, where is it? A transformer station that converts big current into small current. Sure, okay. If we put that over here, oh yeah, look at this, it automatically hooks up. Amazing news. Yeah. And bam, we have power. This should power the entire city, all of our problems solved. We don't have to worry about how many wind turbines we need, or we need more wind turbines, and suddenly you have a city that's more wind turbines than houses, and in fact it starts to take off, it's got so many rotors. So that's power in the bag and should be completely solved with that one simple trick. Oil and coal companies hate this one simple trick that housewives discovered. Transformer stations, who knew? And it looks pretty cool as well. All of the buildings have had a bit of a glow up in this game because, as you should expect, it looks graphically better than Cities Skylines 1. Well, maybe, because mods made Cities Skylines 1 something incredible. Anyway, that's the power situation sorted. Now we need to think about 2 things. the water and the poo. Now there is this one little trick, again, scientists hate me, because I discovered this one little trick about how you can dispose of sewage without polluting your main rivers. Because honestly, I love a river, who doesn't? And I hate the idea of poo being shipped into rivers near to me. When I walk past the Bristol River, I just look into it and I think, man, there's so much poo in there. That's terrible. Think of the fish. So there is something crazy you can do. Basically, the landscaping tools, weirdly, don't cost any money to use, and that is A, crazy, and B, really useful. So what you can do is you can create your very own little poo pond. But I do like the idea of having all of the water services in the same location, so we're going to put our poo pond close to the coast. So we're going to lower the terrain here, shift and lower. You can also put down vegetation if you want to, beautify your cities. And you also have these decorations over here, which are pedestrian bridges and pathways. And so this is where civilian pathways hide in this version. Okay. So we're going to right click and create a massive hole. Look at this thing. Oh yeah. And we're going to hold down right click as long as we can. Because basically, we're going to ship our poo to China. Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, looks like that's the bedrock down there. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh man, yeah. So we're going to ship all of our poo to China. Honestly, Donald Trump would have a field day with this idea. In fact, nobody link him this video because I'm fairly sure that's what he'll put on his manifesto. Do you have manifestos in America? I don't know. But I think that's one of those weird things, right? I'm becoming really American. There we go. So we're going to put, I think, 2. I like the idea of 2 poo spouts because they can get backed up. And then connect these to our sewage network, which is also connected to the roads. The same way power is all connected through the roads, guess what? Poo and water is as well. So we can drag a pipe over here until it connects like that. And then drag that also to the next one in line. And kablamo, we have hooked up our network to poo. Now it can be a bit glitchy, and look at this, it doesn't actually look like this is connected to the road. But I believe it is. If we unpause, we should see if they stop worrying about poo. Okay, yeah, they do. All they care about now is water. Now we are going to hook up the great poo hole of China to some roads, but we're going to use some gravel roads because this is not the nicest of places. So here we go. We'll bring this gravel road all the way around like this, and I think we'll have it snake around a bit. And of course, we're going to be renaming the street that goes around the poo-poo hole because why not? Honor one of my Patreon members by naming them after a poo-poo road. So we're going to call this Kev D's Poo-Poo Lane. There we go, Kev D's Poo-Poo Lane. Now this in theory should work, but I don't know if it will, so we'll have to put this into practice and see if this poo-poo hole fills up with poo. But also that's not our only problem, we need to get our dudes some water. So we have 3 options for getting water to our dudes. Number 1 is a water pumping station. You suck water out of a nearby water source. That's probably going to be the one we're going to go for because it only costs 10k a month and puts out 100,000 waters. A water tower is great if there's no water nearby, but it costs 30k a month and only gets you a third of the amount. And likewise, a ground pumping station is also inferior, more expensive and less output. So we're going to go for, the water pumping station that we're going to park on the edge of the city. There we go. Oh man, yeah. So it's all hooked up and ready to go. And because we connected this to a road, I don't believe we need to connect pipes. Yeah, look at this. It's already piped in. Nothing for us to do. Very good to know. But there's also some changes to Cities Skylines 2 because you can upgrade buildings. For example, we can up the amount of poo that we can put into this hole with an upgrade. Likewise, the water station has some upgrades as well. Extra pump. So we can build one of these instead of building another pump. And I imagine the transformer has something like that as well, maybe? No. But you know what? We can rename everything. So we're going to rename the transformer station, obviously, after my favorite transformer, Megatron. There we go, Megatron the Transformer Station. Well, he's more of like a Decepticon. I'm not sure if that's still a Transformer, but yeah. And since the poo pipes are going to China, we're going to name our 2 poo pumps Sun And Sue. There we go, Sun Tzu, the art of poo. And of course the water pump gets a name as well, so we're going to call it Random Nerds Pumping Palace. There we go, it's not really a palace, but sure, if you want to live here, you could, I guess, put a sleeping bag on the roof. It's got windows, power, lights. I mean, you could quite easily live in this house. Sure, yeah, I mean, you'd never be thirsty. So back to zoning, and let's make sure everything's in correctly. We have yellow, we have blue, we have green. Yeah, let's pull the trigger and watch the city grow. Man, it's been paused since the very beginning, but I want to see this stuff evolve. Everything's got poo, it's got water, it's got power. Almost meat. Looking for production workers. Oh yeah, businesses have started to move in. And you can keep track of how your city is doing by looking down here at the demand. So we do have some medium density demand, and that's kind of why we designed this area for more medium density stuff. So maybe we could plonk in a couple of those. Medium density. Make sure it's set to fill, and we're going to put them inside these little kind of hoops. Is that going to be enough? Probably, because it's medium density, which means there's a lot of dudes going to go in there. But again, these guys are going to need to get their milk, so we've got to put down some milk shops. And I reckon somewhere between the two is probably a good place to start. There we go. Yeah, we can put some commercial along there. If we need more, we can always adapt on the fly. Also, you can change zones at any time. If you want to redo this whole grid as pure industrial, we can do it. Everybody will have to move out, but it's not really a cost on us. The cost comes from the homeowners that get their houses destroyed. Sucks to be you. So there we go, that is the end of episode 1 of our Cities Skylines 2 playthrough. And man, what a whirlwind of an episode it's been. We got sewage, we got water, we got electricity sorted, we got industrial, residential and commercial zones in the bank as well, and we covered some of the starter things and changes from Cities Skylines 1 to 2. Let me know what you think of the episode, hammer a like and a subscribe, consider becoming a Patreon member or a YouTube member, and until next episode, take care.